Good morning everyone, I am Rochelle Vian Morales, and for today's video we will tackle about the chapter 6 entitled The Process and Developing and Using Rubrics for Alternative Assessment. Let's define first what is alternative assessment. Alternative assessment is an holistic approach for students' assessment with the different forms of grading where students are enabled to provide their own responses or work by progressive demonstration or material learned over or given a time period. Example of this are skill labs, experiments, presentations, simulations, role play, class term projects, and etc. As a teacher, you need to critically examine whether the task to be performed will be matched with the assessment tools that will be utilized. And some ways in assessing the student's performance could be the utilization of anecdotal records, interviews, direct observation using checklist or the Likert scale, and the use of rubrics, especially for the performance-based assessment. Nowadays, rubrics have been widely used as an assessment tools in various disciplines, and most especially in the field of education. So different authorities defined what is rubrics. So according to Musical 2009, the rubrics is a set of specifying criteria that is used to find out what students know and what are able to do so. These statements clearly define that the rubrics is a criteria where you score the performance of your students to find out what they know and what they are able to do so. Same as Levy 2005 and Macmillan 2007 clearly defines that a rubrics is a scoring tool that lays out a specific expectations for an assignment, and also it is a scoring guide that uses a criteria to differentiate the levels of students' proficiency. When we say students' proficiency, example of this is the DepEd or the Department of Education, where they adopt the new system to assess the students' level of proficiency, wherein it expresses also the terms of level of proficiency with the numerical equivalent in parentheses. Another definition of rubrics is according to Bookhart 1999, where it is a descriptive scoring schemes that are developed by teachers or the evaluators to guide the analysis of products or a processes of students' effort. It is also a scoring procedure for judging students' responses to performance tests, and it is according to POFAM 2011. An assessment tools that specifies the performance expectations for any kind of students' works, particularly those that are not traditional in nature, such as portfolio, outputs for projects, performance, collaborative work, and research. And it is according to David 2002. Lastly, the author who defined rubrics is Hadi Goodrich Andrade 2018, that he says that rubrics define it as a scoring tool that lists the criteria for a piece of works or what it counts. Let's proceed to the three important features of a rubrics. Number one is the criteria or the aspects of a performance that will be assessed. It means that you need to identify the performance of what you want to assess. For example, you need to define if it is essay, if it is role-playing, or if it is reflection. Number two, descriptors of the characteristics associated with each criterion. Now, you need to describe each levels of mastery for each characteristics or dimension of cells. Example, you need to describe the best work you could expect using these characteristics, and this will be described as the top category. Ascribe an acceptable product, which describe as the lowest category, and develop descriptions for intermediate level products for intermediate category. Number 3, or the last, is the performance level that identifies the student's mastery within each criterion. So example of this is you need to define, or you need to have a levels of mastery or scales or columns that is used to labels or to describe the levels of mastery should be tactful and clear, and commonly used labels, and it includes the not meeting, approaching, meeting, and exceeding. There are following performance or students' performance and outputs that can be assessed by a rubric. Examples of students' performances that can be assessed by rubrics is the oral presentations, such as research paper or poster presentation, the individual group or group report, skills demonstration such as baking and teaching, and the extemporaneous speech. Number 2, the dramatic and creative performance such as dance recital, performance in a play or a musical, and playing musical instrument. Number 3, the public speaking includes the debate, declamations, panel discussion, and inspirational speech. Another assessment or performance that can be assessed by a rubrics is the products or the outputs. Number 1 is the visual products such as paintings, posters, video presentations. Number 2, the kinesthetic products, which the diorama, sculpture, dance recitals, and word carvings. Number 3, the written products such as essay, poems, thesis, or term paper, the movie, or the TV script. Number 3, the verbal products such as videotapes and voice recording. We already defined what is rubrics and what assessment or performance assessment that can be utilized or that can be used by a rubric. So let's proceed to what is the benefits of a rubrics to teachers and to students. How rubrics can help the teachers. Okay, number 1, it can be a guide instructions where the teachers can use rubrics to see how their students are performing in a variety of categories, and also it can craft, or they can craft follow-up lessons and individual conferences to help their students improve. Number 2, it can save time. But how it can save time? After the initial work of creating a rubric is done, the rubric can be used again and again to effectively assess the students year after year. Number 3, it remains consistency. By using the same criteria from students to student, teachers can assess each student by using the same guidelines. And lastly, it offers a clear feedback. Rather than just giving the students a grade of 85 or a B+, students can see exactly where they did well and where they need to improve. We are done on how rubrics can help the teachers. So let's proceed to how rubrics can help the students. Number 1, take ownership of their learning. But how? Since the rubrics clearly outline the criteria for each level, they can put effort or forth effort to perform the best of their ability. Number 2, understand the expectation. When reading a kid-friendly language, students can use the rubrics to understand exactly what is required of them on all aspects of their assignments. Lastly, or the number 3, take steps towards improvement. When students can see where they are currently performing and compare that to where they want to be, they can, or along with your help as a teacher, they can develop action steps to help them improve. You know, rubrics works best for the assignments that are subjective. When we say subjective or the subjective evaluation, it is when a teacher evaluates the qualities of a student's performance based on intangible or unquantifiable evidence. And on the other hand, objective assessments such as multiple choice, fill in the blanks, or assessment that have only one answer are not ideal for rubrics. As a student and as a future educator, rubrics are very great for students because they let the students know what is expected of them and demystify grades by clearly stating in age appropriate vocabulary the expectations for projects. It is important because they clarify for students the qualities their work should have, and the point is often expressed in terms of for or of students understanding the learning target and criteria for success. So that's all for today's video. I hope you learned something new from me. I am Rochelle Vian Morales, your presenter. Bye!